It is 9 o'clock.
The stream is on, so.
Yes, it is 9 o'clock.
Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. This is Tuesday, January 16th, and I'd like to at this time call the meeting of the weekly meeting of the Cudahy County Commission to order. We'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I'll lead it today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. By the way, in case you didn't hear, the Vikings did win the game Sunday. Pretty exciting weekend.
However,
for us Vikings fans.
they kicked the field goal and they made points.
Yeah.
Because they did.
Well, they said the point spread was
5.5.
Yeah, and if they'd kicked the field goal, they would have hit that point spread. So not doing that cost a lot of people a bunch of money, I'm afraid. Housekeeping chores, if you got a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off if you get a call. As always, please go out in the rotunda and take it so you don't disrupt the meeting. This meeting is being streamed, so you will be on camera.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
And a second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the
Move to
January
approve
9th meeting.
as emailed.
Motion by Hanton, second by Gable. Any discussion?
Is there an email from the auditor about
The email or the minutes reflect the correction to the payroll resolution. We will be amending it, but I did correct the minutes to reflect that, that
Okay.
impasse.
Is that the only thing that we have? Everybody understand what that's all about? Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, monthly reports. Milo's not here, so Rick, you're on. Rick, Highway Department. Good morning, Rick. Good morning again.
Good morning.
And we also have you down here for number 5 and number 6, so we'll take those when you get finished up with your report.
Correct. Yeah, I guess on the monthly report, we're just closing out 2017 in the office, getting ready to start the bookkeeping for 2018. And actually a little bit ahead of what we normally get done with it. In the shop, the guys are rebuilding a couple of trailers. One of the trailers we used to haul our backhoe around on and putting a new deck on it and everything. They've been out cutting trees, doing a lot of tree trimming and so forth, and today they're going to start getting the machinery ready for chip or crack sealing. Get the melter and the compressor ready, make sure we got all our signs, and they'll be doing a lot of crack sealing. We got about 40 miles that we'd like to get done so that when we chip seal it later, we'd like to get the crack sealing done prior to the chip sealing.
When they crack seal, do they use that white tape, or is that just a state?
We use a sealant that sets up really quickly. We get by without it. And we have a vehicle behind the crack sealer, so we keep the traffic off it it just takes a few minutes, and especially when it's this time of year, it cools off. So we don't have any problem with that. And in the town, when you do it in the summer or whatever, you need to put that down so it don't pick it up.
Sure.
Vehicles don't pick it up, but we've been able to get by without it.
Question, Rick. How wide a crack can you seal?
We've got them up to an inch. I guess it gets to a point when they get that big, we're better off to put some hot mix or cold mix in it first, because this sealant you put in is pretty expensive, 63 cents a pound I think it is for the sealant, so it's better off on the real wide ones to put something in first.
How long does that normally last when you seal it? Crack?
This stuff is really elastic. It's polymer, so as the road expands, thaws, and freezes, it'll work with it. Now there are stuff like we did on County Road 17 up at Charlie. It's called mastic, which on some of these spots where you have a dip in the road where every crack is, then you put this mastic in there, and that stuff is hard, and that cracks just like the asphalt does, and then you have to go and crack seal that too. And I know, Charlie, we were just talking about it, that those spots on his road are showing up, and we may do some more of that. That's similar to crack sealing, but it's actually called mastic, and that is meant to take the dips out where every one of those cracks are.
Interesting.
Well, tomorrow we've got hazmat class, 12 or so of the employees. There's room for 12 and maybe more. Emergency management is putting on a hazmat operations. Basically, it trains the guys if they come to an accident. Mainly it teaches them what not to do. Don't get yourself in trouble with hazardous materials or whatever. And it's been a while since we've had one of these courses, been to one of these classes. I think it's time we go through and do it again. And also Jim Sutton's going to give us the little identification booklets, and I'm sure you're aware of the little book that all squad cars have. We've got some in our trucks, but the ones we have are 10 plus years old, so Jim's going to renew our supply of them for us.
Good.
Kind of down that same road, I guess that's appropriate, talking to the highway superintendent down the same road. We had discussion last week about the safety manual, and I know Milo has chimed in via electronic email here, and you have a safety manual for the highway department, correct?
Yes, we have a specific one for the highway department, and I just started looking through Milo's redo of the Brown County one, and it looks good. I'm only about 5 or 6 pages into it, but I think it's time that the county gets a countywide one, and that doesn't mean that each department can't have their own specific, just so they don't conflict. You have to go through and make sure they don't conflict, but yeah.
I think that was the gist of your email too, wasn't it, Milo?
Yeah.
And I just wanted you to chime in and get your thoughts on that.
And I agree. I think it's time that the county have a safety committee and meet. What did you have recommendations once a month in that plan?
That was my initial.
So then that committee would review all the reports of injuries and stuff for the previous month and go over that?
Yes, that would be some of the stuff we cover and make sure, try to make sure that any corrections needed to be done after an injury or whatever. And it's comprised of a commissioner, the department heads or a representative of the department heads, and then I believe that's 4 employees from within the county will be on this committee, and their tenure changes. I believe it's every year. Well, yeah, but anyway, it's on a regular basis. You get new guys in there all the time. I think it's a good plan.
Well, planning is very important, as I found out in Hawaii. And so we need to be on top of it here. So
I agree.
And I envy Brown County. It looks like they have done a lot of work, and got a system there that I don't know if it's working, but apparently they got something in place.
And over the next weeks or whatever, I'm sure I'll be visiting with Dirk from Brown County, the superintendent. One of my intentions when I do see him is ask him how this has worked for Brown County and get feedback from the people that are involved in it.
And we have the two, Milo and yourself. I think every year at the state convention, you guys are the two from the county here that always get the safety awards. So you have to be doing something right.
And that's with the assistance of Safety Benefits. I mean, we've been on board with them for a long time. And in fact, the safety manual the highway department has, that came from Safety Benefits.
Good. Well, let's continue to move forward with that and with your report.
I guess the next item I have is the load limits.
Okay. And that's number 6 on your agenda.
Yeah. That would be same as has been all previous years, 7 ton per axle on all asphalt surface roads where the signs are posted. Now, we do have one section of road from State Highway 20 north of State Highway 20 north, 1,000 feet by where the Wallace fertilizer plant is. They put down an extra 2 inches of asphalt on there. So we leave that off, which allows them to get into that plant. And I watch it every year. It's make sure that, you know, if we can see damage starting or whatever on that. Otherwise, the limits would be the same, 7 ton per axle, 40 mile per hour for trucks. And I have been doing, a lot of counties are going to an additional thing at 7 ton per axle with an 80,000 pound gross vehicle weight. So it doesn't matter how many axles you got, you can't go over 80,000 pounds on a vehicle. And some of them are even dropping to 6 ton per axle with an 80,000 pound gross vehicle weight, which, you know, it would help to protect the pavement, there's no doubt about it.
When do you propose the limits will go on?
They can go on February 15th through May 1st inclusively, but I never put them on until absolutely necessary. A lot of guys want to get their grain hauled, and I prefer that they get it hauled when the roads are still froze like a brick. So we don't put them out until I see
The
evidence.
resolution allows us to go
Right, yeah.
February 15th, but, okay,
Yeah.
yep.
And typically what I do is when the roads do start thawing, I'm out driving the roads and I have a steel prod, poking it in the shoulder of the road, the inslope of the road to determine. At one point, when they start going out, the road will be frozen down 2 feet and it'll start thawing up above that. So then you'll have this soft mud sitting on top of this frozen ground, and when it gets to that stage, you can take a ½ inch or 3/8 inch rod and just push it in, you know, like a pin cushion. And when it gets to that point, that's when the signs go up, when you start seeing that.
So we need a motion to approve that resolution.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman. Any more discussion?
Just a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So are you recommending we stick with this language here, 7 tons per axle, and then for the future, you're talking about maybe the 80 ton?
Right, 80 ton gross limit.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about dropping that down to 6.
Not this year, not this year.
Okay.
Just
It's not 80 ton though, it's 80,000.
80,000.
I'm sorry,
pounds.
80,000.
Yeah,
Per gross
Yeah.
vehicle weight.
Oh, 80 ton
Yeah.
pounds, okay.
yeah.
Maximum, and like I say, that's getting to be a real common thing. And if you look at this, the state has a website where you can check the load limits on
Yeah.
all the counties, and that
Yeah.
80,000 maximum is getting to be a pretty common thing.
And it's,
If it looks like we're going to pass this resolution, but if we would see an emergency come up, we could reduce that.
That's by state law. I can reduce it if there's a problem that shows up. I can go out and post it whenever and that would even be outside of these dates. I can go out tomorrow if I see a problem and put a weight limit on it.
and typically, it doesn't always go till May 1st. You kind of, just depends on the weather and the
Right, yeah.
conditions, so,
Very seldom does it go till May 1st. Usually it's towards the end of April.
right.
All right, good discussion. Anything else?
To drop that limit down, does that have to come back before the commission again?
Yes.
Or do you have the
Yep.
authority to do that?
It doesn't, or it'd have to be a resolution,
Okay.
similar like we're doing today. Also included with this, with the passage of this resolution, I do send a letter to the Highway Patrol and requesting that they enforce the weight, and not just weight, all traffic laws on the county roads, and for years they've demanded it. We do have an ordinance in place about regarding the weight limits and so forth, but the Highway Patrol requests a resolution every year, so I have a letter ready to go. I'll take the signed resolution and send that off to the Highway Patrol also.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. You got your permission.
I jumped over number 5. We
Yeah, let's go back to number 5 then. And that's an action to declare used highway surplus supplies to sell at reduced cost. And there's a sheet in your packet in reference to that. I think there is anyway.
I sent a letter out to Cindy that it's just a short note with the
It's on the back
recommendation
side of the resolution.
where it's 50% of replacement cost or 50% of inventory cost, whichever is higher.
This is something we do annually
Yeah.
per the recommendation of legislative audit.
I'll make a motion to
We have a
declare highway
motion by
supply
Hatton,
surplus.
second by Waterman. Any more discussion? And yes, it's on the back side of that resolution. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Rick.
Yep, that's all I
Anything
got.
else?
Nope, that's
Any
all I
other
got.
questions for Rick before we turn him loose? County Road 6. Last fall, I had one of the residents that live out in that area, and County Road 6, what's it go by? Is it Medicine Lake?
Yeah, that's part of County Road 6, yep.
And they said it from that area, Medicine Lake and west, it's so rough they can't hardly drive on it. And I said, well, that's good to know then, don't drive on it.
Gravel part of that, you know, there was times, and not just that road, but we went through a stretch where we didn't have any moisture, and we did get a lot of washboard road, and that particular stretch was one of them that was washboardy just as you approach the asphalt. Coming up to the
Yep.
asphalt, there was a stretch there, now 1,000 feet long. It was nothing but washboards, and without the moisture, you can roll the marbles back into them, but it's just a short matter of time, and they come right back.
Anyway, I listened to the complaint. I was going to send him to Charlie, but I said,
Is there a stop sign at the end of this?
Yeah.
yeah, there is.
Then it's a bumper strip, right?
Yeah.
But it sounded to me like it was from Highway 20 all the way to the county line west. That was rough, so I don't know if it's that. I didn't drive it. I did drive it myself.
And
So
that is a section of County Road 6 that hasn't been regraded for a lot of years. It's got a lot of hills and stuff in it, and it's fairly narrow. It's probably something down the road. If we
It's probably-
watch the traffic count, and the traffic count shows a big increase, it might be something we have to look at.
it might be one of the main market to, farm to market roads coming from that west area over there, though.
Yeah, well, next one, 2 miles to the south, County Road 8.
Yeah.
That's a wider, and that has been regraded. It's a little bit wider and stuff. Both of those do have quite a bit of traffic, but 8 has substantially more on it.
Good. All right.
All right, thank you.
He's
Thanks,
on
Rick.
notice. All right. Let's go back then to the facility manager, Milo. We had to jump over you. We'll come back to you and get caught up with your report. Good morning, Milo.
Good morning.
Morning, Milo.
This won't be nearly as much fun as it was last month.
Oh,
Okay, I'll start out with Memorial Park. The only thing I have to say about that location is the new sign has been installed at the park entrance. So if you're out for a ride in the country,
I was out there yesterday, Milo, and saw that. It looks nice.
Yeah.
They did a good job on it.
Okay, the Ag Building, the busy winter season has started at the complex. There are many large events upcoming in the next 2 months. Last week we had the name fails me, Myron, the crop, what used to be referred to as the no-till
yeah,
meeting, now it's called the crop,
crop production workshop.
yeah.
And I was there, and it was a good turnout.
Yeah.
There's quite a few people there.
But anyhow, the season has started out there. The farm show setup is well underway. We're expecting the last load of wood chips to be delivered this week, which will enable the staff out there to finish setting up the barn. So things are on their way. Courthouse. The office shift has started within the courthouse, which will accommodate the addition of a new courtroom. My office, the facilities manager's office, has been relocated. That was actually completed last week. I have meetings scheduled with the Veterans Office and the Welfare Office to lay out the groundwork for their move across the street to the auditorium. I have been in contact with the State Telephone Network, our security alarm service, the security camera provider, and multiple internet providers just to get the ball rolling on providing services at the new location. I am scheduled to meet with representatives from the Park and Rec Department this morning at the auditorium. I'm going to be requesting keys so I can have access to that location probably in March anyhow, so we can start the process of, carpeting and painting and whatnot that needs to be done over there. Detention center.
Milo?
Yes.
Back up to the extension center, and there'll be plenty of advertising, but beginning the 4th of February is kind of the kickoff to the farm show. That's when there'll be set up, and we have the state crop show will actually happen on the 2nd of February.
Correct.
So the crop show, the farm show itself actually runs from Tuesday through the weekend. I think that's 4th through whatever it is.
6th through the 10th.
5th through the 10th.
6th through the
Yeah.
10th.
But, so that's a busy event for that facility out there. Thank you.
Okay, detention center, the highway patrol has completed their move out of the building. The vacated space has been cleaned, repainted, and made ready for various sheriff's office activities. There's plans underway, for them to utilize that space. I wanted to just touch base a little bit on a surplus sale. We haven't had one for a couple years at the county. It's typically something we share with the city offices. In view of our upcoming projects this summer with the movement of offices and stuff around, I anticipate the likelihood of coming up with a number of items that will need to be surplused out. The basement is showing signs that it's time to schedule another sale. Usually we do this in, probably April or May. I think, I have not talked with the other department heads, but I think I'd like to hold off on that. I'll check in with the city. Maybe we can hold off until August or September this year and try to catch some of that stuff from our remodeling process. So that's, just kind of in the back of your minds as you hear stuff coming up for surplus. So I think we will have a way to get rid of that later in the year. Safety recommendations, you kind of broached that subject a little bit already. Numerous offices have received various safety recommendations from our risk services provider. The maintenance department is currently working our list of recommendations. In addition, as Myron mentioned, I have worked up a first draft of a county safety manual to be used by Cottington County. If the board wishes to pursue this, I would recommend that a committee be developed to move this forward. This really is something that needs to be driven by the board and not by an individual office. If you would like, I can forward you a digital copy of that first draft.
That'd be good. Yeah. Appreciate that.
And then at this point, it's kind of on the board to direct what you want to do with it. There's really no point in myself pursuing this any further without direction from the board.
Right.
Could we put it on the agenda for next week to just discuss it? No action needs to be taken at that time, but just for us, if Milo will forward that to us, for all of us to take a look at it, and we'll just kick it around the board table here.
Would it be possible also at that time maybe to formulate a committee so that if we're going to do this, we would have that in place?
Well, it's probably going to be a charter type thing where you say these, each department head is on
Sure.
one commissioner,
But we maybe need that part of on the agenda.
Do you want it on the agenda before you actually approve a safety manual, or do you want to wait till the safety manual?
I think we should wait till the safety manual is approved.
More, yeah.
Well, let us review it.
There's some structure there.
Just for kind of a visual, I printed out where we're at on the safety manual right now for the first draft, so.
Good. That sounds good. If you can get that to us, that'd be great.
Okay. As far as my report goes, that's kind of the crux of it there. Any questions while you have me? front and center.
Yeah, I do have a question, and I don't expect you to be able to answer this right off the top of your head, but how many years ago was it when we did the riprap on the shoreline in Memorial Park?
I'm pulling dates out of thin air, but I would have
Sure.
to say about 10 years ago.
Okay, and the reason that I'm asking this is that if you read the paper, there was an article in the paper in reference to a group of individuals being asked to serve on a committee to study the Lake Kempesca future. And that was a front page deal the other day in the paper. And I've been asked to serve on that committee. And of course, the Kempesca is in my district. And from Kempesca north to the county line is all my district. And so I have a real interest in Lake Kempesca because I not only have that as my district, but I also recreate and I fish and water ski and everything else out there too. I don't water ski anymore, but that'd be a sight. Anyway, some of that riprapping and some of that work that we done, I'd like a little bit of you put it together for me, a little bit of when we did that and what the cost was and what people sometimes forget, and we forget, is that Memorial Park is a pretty good size piece of property, and we have quite a few feet of shoreline out there.
We have a tremendous amount of linear feet of shoreline out there.
And I know I've gone up and down that shoreline many times, and with Milo and the park manager, and the part that concerns me just a little bit is that point, Inspiration Point. I know we lost a lot of soil into the lake here a few years ago when we had the high water, and I don't know if there's any possible chance of doing some riprap or what we could do down there. But I can remember when we did it before. We did it right. We used the material. We did the riprap, but it was costly.
It was costly.
And just so that I would have, and that our first meeting I think is February 20th or something like that. But just something that I could have my hands on so that I could refer to. I appreciate that.
I will get that for you.
All right. Any other comments from any of the other board? Thank you. Any questions from Milo?
Well, I did have one thing, Mr. Chairman, just to piggyback on some of the stuff that Milo was saying. Concerning the remodel on the building, the architect was going to be here this week to have a worker session with the users. That's been moved to the 31st of January. So I think you've been getting CC'd on those emails. So
Yes.
the next time the architects will be in town to talk to everybody will be the 31st. This week sometime they'll be mailing the final design plan. So that doesn't mean they're final. I mean, we can still make little tweaks, but basically the design part, after the first series of meetings, the design part is done. So what's going to go where, how do we want it to look? So we're going to get the final plan sometime this week emailed to us or paper mailed to us, and then we move into the construction documents phase where they actually make the design into documents that a contractor can use to build something, or remodel something. So that's where we are.
Is there any kind of a target date? Like Milo said, his office has moved already.
Yeah,
we're moving
Yep.
welfare and the VA office.
Well, April 1st is when.
Is that the
lease-
target date?
Yeah.
I have it done by April 1st?
Yeah, that's why
or-
we did all the leases that way. So
Yeah.
And the nurse as well.
Yeah. So the nurse and the two officers going to
Correct.
training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are developing a timeline. Lee forwarded this to me, and we'll be tweaking it as we go, but we do have that, a little graph that we can provide.
You mean Lee made a graph for that?
Lee made a graph.
That really surprises me.
Yeah, that's how I sell my problems with
Was it a pie chart or was it a graph? Thank you, Lee, for doing that. I got to give him a bad time.
But we can, maybe next week, once you've had a chance to tweak it a little bit, we can put it up on the screen.
Sure.
You get another pie chart. There you go. Anything else for it? Yes?
Do we, have you had a chance to digest the courthouse preservation?
Yes.
Sure, that's the next thing on the item, our next thing on the agenda. Let's just, as long as Milo's here, let's jump down to what number is that?
10.
Number 10, and that is action to accept or reject any or all bids for the courthouse preservation project. And that's that Tuck
Point.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit.
And there's a sheet in your packet with the information on it. I am not there myself. I don't go ahead while we're looking.
Okay, the, last week we did open bids for the
I think it's
Cottington
just
County
within the
Courthouse
minutes.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that?
not.
It's just within the minutes,
Masonry preservation
Okay.
project.
but it should be in your packet, yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, just to reiterate what we had a bid from Jones Caulking and Tuck Pointing for $167,150. We had a bid from Mid-Continental Restoration for $79,120 with an alternate of $26,562, which was for applying a sealer on top of everything. And we had a bid from Card Tuck Pointing for $64,170, that being the low bid. All bids did have bid bond of 20% enclosed. Like I said, the low bid was submitted by Card Tuck Pointing. They did provide a pretty comprehensive packet of information along with their bid, including references on former work that they have done. I did check with a number of their references that they provided. Everybody that I talked to was happy with their work. You know, among those that I talked to would be Hamlin County, McPherson County, and Dubrook area schools. So, you know, pretty good representation of similar type projects.
So that would be your
So
recommendation?
that my recommendation would be to award the bid to Card Tuck Pointing.
Make
So
that motion.
We have a
Give me
motion
amount
by
of-
Hatton, a second by Van Duzen.
Sorry, can we have the amount, please?
64,170.
Is that amount correct, Cindy?
64,170.
Okay, I know my initial math last week didn't work out too well, so.
And by the way, that is in, is it in the 2018 budget?
It is, that is a budgeted item.
It is a budgeted item.
Just on the front.
Any more discussion? It is a budgeted item. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Milo.
Thank you very much. I will
Milo.
get the ball rolling on that project also.
And that won't begin until spring for sure. All right. All right, let's back up to number 7, action to approve Board of Mental Illness members. And who has that? Thank you. Here we are.
Becky.
Hi, Becky, how are you this morning?
Good.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Yes, the Board of Mental Illness is comprised of 3 individuals, one of whom is appointed by the presiding judge. That is currently Terry Sutton. He is the chairman of our Board of Mental Illness. Raymond Rylians was on the Board of Mental Illness. Due to his passing, though, we need to appoint a new member. When I went and looked at the statutes, we can actually appoint 2 more members, and that's the recommendation from myself and Sheriff Howell, is that we appoint 2 additional members. They are to be appointed by you as the County Commission. Sheriff Howell and I have visited and are recommending that Mindy Werder of Sutton Law Offices.
What was the name again?
Mindy Werder, it's
Okay.
Werder, and Liam Culhane be appointed as the 2
And the
additional.
second name was?
Liam Culhane.
Make that motion that we approve those 2 people to your mental health.
All right, we have a motion by Hatton, seconded by Van Duzen. Any discussion?
Gable.
Gable.
Is this an
Gable.
ongoing appointment? Does it have to be done annually?
It's every 3 years.
Okay.
Now, do we need to appoint another one to replace Ray?
No, these 2
All
will
right.
replace.
Okay, all right, just these 2.
Both of them are practicing attorneys in
Correct.
Watertown.
Yes.
And
Okay, so both practicing attorneys. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You have the 2 new members.
Thank you.
And you will notify them.
I will notify them.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
thanks, Becky.
And I was supposed to greet you from an attorney in Huron. a blonde-haired lady that applied for some job or something or whatever. She said to tell you hi.
Thanks, Becky.
She's an attorney in Huron. All right, let's go on to number 8 then. Action to approve an amendment to Securus contract to include video visitation. And there's about 3 pages in reference to that recommendation. And we have our head jailer here to share with us or to give us the lowdown on this request.
Okay, so we have been in business with Securus for a number of years. I've been at the jail for, it'll be 24 years in February, and I think Securus is the only company we've ever used. They've had a name change over the years, but we've been in business with them for quite some time. Our current contract with them comes up in March of 2018. Sheriff Howell and I have met with Securus. We want to do something with video visitation in the jail, and Securus will provide all the upfront costs for that. The one thing that they did put in the contract is that they would deduct $840 from our monthly commissions to offset the cost. But I believe the back page shows their investment in this project, and it's
$52,900?
yes. So they are investing quite a bit of money into the jail to provide us with video visitation.
And my question would be, Tom, is what is our current contract and what is this new one? I have not had a chance to review or study this request. Could you share with us what those numbers are?
Off the top of my head, I do not know what our current commission is.
Oh, I can tell you. Let me get to,
I have seen it before, but I don't remember what.
Tom, while we're waiting for that, can you explain exactly what this is so people out there that are not familiar with this? That would be good.
Okay, the video visitation, it would act in 2 ways. It, for people that are in jail, in our higher security areas, currently we have to go get them from their cell block, bring them up to the visiting room, so it creates extra work for the jail staff, moving people around in the hallway. This way, the inmate would stay back in their cell area. They'd have a video screen that's implemented into the inmate phone. Right now, it'd just be a console kiosk type deal there. And, they could either visit remotely, where a person can visit from their phone or their home computer. If somebody doesn't have that technology in their home, they can still come into the jail lobby. There would be a monitor in the current visitor room in the jail lobby, and they'd still be able to have their video visitation, and the staff wouldn't have to be moving people around.
Okay, and you made the comment about $52,000 that this company would invest in this project?
Yep.
So how do they make their money from our county?
The remote visitations will cost the inmate and their family some money.
Okay, so that's where they get their money back from.
Yep. I don't know what the cost is on that, but currently for a 15-minute local call, it's about $2.90 that they get for the call. Obviously, video visitation would probably be higher than that. But for some of these folks, who wants to come in to visit when it's 15 below outside, or
Right.
some of our inmates that are from out of state that don't have any visitors, would help them out as well.
And there probably are some that just don't have transportation, period.
Correct.
And this would still enable them to visit with the incarcerated from their home.
Yep.
Did you find that number?
we put the commission in with the amount that we make off of the phone cards too. So in 2017, that income was just over $61,000.
Okay.
That came back to the county?
That's what we got for the phone commission plus the sale of the phone cards to inmates was $61,000. That's what came back. We still have to pay for phone, it offsets part of the cost for the phone cards. So this is not clearing 61,000, but it offsets what we pay for the phone cards,
okay.
yeah.
Is this going to create a hardship or problems for the staff that we have in the jail now?
No, I think this will probably improve, just the flow of everything in the jail, not having to go back and get somebody to bring them up for visitation. Because currently, if somebody has a visitor, the staff has to stop what they're doing, go back, get that person out, bring them up to the front. Then we're dealing with people at the window all the time. So I think this will be helpful to the staff. It'll cut down on inmate movement.
And they'll still need an appointment then for, like now you need an appointment to come in and...
Yep, but if you're going to be doing a remote visit, you can probably schedule that online.
Mr. Chairman, just to
Yes.
add to this, as we're learning about jail facilities, modern jail facilities, this is a common thing with video visitation. So whenever you can minimize inmate movement, that's a security bonus for the jail. And then also, I think those that have been in there know what a busy place it is. And this is one thing that we can I guess the operation can go a bit more smoothly if you have something like this. One question I did have though, so as we're talking about the potential of a future new jail, is this something that would be movable to, or is it just kind of, is it something that Securus is just covering the cost of and planning to make money off those calls? Is that kind of basically what's going on here?
I think down the road, if we do build a new facility, I think they would be more than happy to work with a clean building, because wiring through an old building is not easy.
Other than the staff getting used to moving this piece of equipment around or pieces of equipment, this is costing the county no money?
It'll just cut into the monthly commission, which was
$840.
$840.
It'll be $840?
Well, that's
That's the additional share they want off of what we make from phone calls and phone cards.
So the county won't be paying $840. It'll just be deducted from the commission that we receive.
Okay. I think I missed this. Is this the same company that does the phone cards then?
Correct.
It'll be $840 less of revenue coming from the phone cards because they'll withhold that.
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Hatton, second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? The only discussion that I would have is that in the several facilities that I had the opportunity to visit in reviewing and looking at different justice facilities and jail situations, that they all had the video visitation process, which really made it clean and easy and very efficient and a lot safer as well. Simply, if they're doing it video, it's very hard for them to smuggle in any contraband, and that's one of the big things right there that I saw. Is you never know what's coming in with some of the visitors that may, right? That's one thing that we have to look at. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. Will we still have the same people, the same facility that they can make an appointment and come and meet that way?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, good questions.
Just one more quick question, Tom. This is already in place. You said you've been using them for some time now. Is this system in place, or is this going to be a new system?
The video visitation will be in addition.
It will be,
We currently have just phone through Securus, but we will add video visitation with this contract.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, any more discussion? Any more? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate it. Let's go on to number 9 then, action to declare miscellaneous equipment surplus. And there's a list in your packet that was submitted. Did you all find that? It looks like there's a lot of computer equipment.
Computer equipment, printer equipment. There is one camera. a camera system that will be traded in on new cameras.
And does this all comes from the sheriff's
The
department?
sheriff and the detention center.
When it's going to be surplus, is it going to be destroyed or?
The computer equipment and the printers are to be destroyed,
Okay.
according
Make a
to the
motion.
sheriff's request.
I have a motion from Hatton, a second from Waterman. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 11, action to approve claims for payment. Do we have any today? I think we do.
No, we do not have claims.
Well, that's good news.
Yep, next week we will have a few odds and ends.
All right, and number 12 is action to amend the 2018 payroll resolution. And that was, when we began the meeting, that was the one change that had been made.
Correct.
So you
When I prepared the payroll resolution, it was before the impasse was noted for the Highway Department union. So when I prepared the payroll resolution, I used the increase that the board approved for everybody else, which was 1.5%. Because that union is at an impasse, our human resource director has indicated that we need to leave the union employees' pay rates at the same as they were for 2017 because they do not have a contract in place for
So we
pay
have to use
increases.
we have to use the previous contract, basically.
For the
Correct.
highway.
Correct.
I made the motion last week, I believe, so I will amend the motion that I made to indicate that the highway department will remain at the same rate as they currently are, or was in 2017 until.
Due to the impasse.
Due to the impasse.
You've heard that motion. Is there a second to that? A second by Commissioner Gable. Any more discussion? Any more discussion?
I believe you all received an email this morning about scheduling, or maybe you haven't seen it yet,
Yesterday.
scheduling a time for
I did receive a notification.
mediation
from
or
Terry
whatever they want to call
on the
it.
16th of February.
Yeah,
And at
mediation.
that time, we will try to get the deputy state's attorney involved with Mr. Satterley and who would you like to have sit in on that from the commission? It's the highway department, and Commissioner Waterman is the liaison to that department. Would you like to have him, or would you like to have me sit in on that? What's your choice? Or both of us?
I think it should be the board chair, in my opinion.
I certainly would be welcome to do that, but I don't want to take any thunder away from Commissioner Waterman.
We're also having a deputy state's attorney.
Yes.
into it as well.
Yeah. Or the state's attorney
Is there any
herself.
reason why both of you can't be there?
I don't think there's any reason why we both couldn't be there. I don't see any reason. What's the wishes of, so when Terry would call and said, this is where we need to be at a certain time, would you like Commissioner Waterman and myself to attend? All right.
I'm
we'll do
fine with that.
Is
We
that
just
right?
need to find out from Terry, I guess, is what his thoughts are, how many should be there.
Is that all right?
Good.
Okay. All right, very good.
Yep.
We'll just get that out of the way so we know in ahead.
Now we
know in
just need to
advance.
vote on the motion.
Okay, you've heard a motion, there's been a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 13, we need to appoint a new member to the CCJAC committee. Greg Gendris has indicated that he would like to set out for a period of time.
Yep.
And have you a recommendation?
Yeah, I do. So I spoke to Mr. Matt Kranz, and he's agreed to serve on the CCJAC in the slot where Mr. Enders was serving. And basically the way, just for everybody, to refresh everybody's memory, the way the voting members of the CCJAC are put together, you have 4 members from the public, and right now that's Megan Olson, Larry Waslin, Al Coyston, and then the position filled by Greg Endres, and now I'm recommending Mr. Kranz, and then 2 commissioners and the sheriff. Those are the voting members.
Okay, that's the motion.
The motion is that we appoint Mr. Kranz.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second that.
A second by Commissioner Hatton. Discussion? Discussion would be, I've known Matty forever, since Tags was a pup. And Matt's a good guy. He's a farmer out southeast of town here, dairy farmer. Has been very involved in the community and community activities for many, many years. A good guy.
Yeah, so I appreciate
Good
his
choice.
Appreciate his willingness to serve, so.
Yep.
He actually was part of the committee the first go-around, so that would be good.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Matt. You are aboard.
But he doesn't have,
You going to notify him?
I will.
All right.
He doesn't do emails.
You don't think he's listening to us and streaming here? You don't think so? All right, let's go to number
Busy
14, action to approve automatic budget supplements. We have some.
None today.
That's another good news item. Action to approve personnel changes. I believe we have a couple of them.
Yes.
Yep, look in your packet.
I had one more come in that I've added to the mix, and that's Janelle Nygaard. She is a criminal civil management worker in the sheriff's office. She's due a step increase to step 10, $20.40 an hour. We also have highway employees. Matt Dargett is maintenance 2. He'll go to step 7, $21.24, which is the 2017 wage. These are all 2017 wages. Jeff Argo is maintenance 2. He will go to step 2, $18.14 an hour. Jeff Case is maintenance 3. He will go to step 12, $23.54 an hour. And Todd Warney is the mechanic. He will go to step 12, $23.64 per hour.
How about you heard those? Motion by Hatton, second by Commissioner Gable. Any discussion? Notice that they were mostly Highway Department individuals, except for Ms. Nygaard. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any travel requests?
One travel request for Justin Halligan, who is building maintenance. The facility manager has requested that he attend the recertification for commercial applicators in Sioux Falls.
And that's the same meeting that Milo is attending, and also Steve, I believe. Those are the other two requests. So I hope that they can travel together. And any other questions? A motion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Van Dusen, a second by Gable. Any discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Any old business to bring before the board at this time? Any mature business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a couple things.
Yes,
One
Commissioner
was-
Gable.
Yeah, I mentioned before that the architect was going to be in town this week, so instead we're just going to get the design plans, and he's going to be here, well, both of them, Bruce and Anthony, be here on the 31st of January, so those are the worker bee meetings with the judges and the court folks, Milo, and so that's ongoing. And then the next CCGAC meeting is still on February the 13th. And then the next visit of the architects will be, I believe, on February 20th. I have a new schedule that I'll put, that we've been working back and forth with BKV and me and the others involved, so I'll give that out. So a couple of meeting dates have slid around. The overall timeline of the schedule is still pretty much the same. It's just some of these meetings sliding around as we do the design and the construction documents.
So what's expected to happen on the 31st of January?
You'd have the first meeting to talk about construction documents. So you have design, the design's done, so now you're going to start talking about things like courtroom technology and some of it. It's just the discussion's going to get progressively more detailed, essentially. So.
If they're going to be emailing those plans, is that something that could be forwarded on to us as well?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think they may send them as paper copies, because, and then we can make copies or scan them in like that. So they're interesting to look at.
When we have the more detailed sketch, or whatever you would want to call it, you want to make certain that it's made available to the press,
That's a good idea.
to the paper, and so that we make certain that it's very transparent, so people can see what we're doing.
It can also be put on the website.
And it'll be on the website, but
Yeah, all the current schedules are on the website. They're attachments to the minutes of the CCGAC, so the people right now. But we'll make a point once the sketches, the design is more or less final. And again, these are the final ones, but there may be a little tweak you see along the way. But we can put that online and have a separate link for that, so people can get to it easily.
We have a new meeting set up. Are you thinking there's going to be a conflict there on the 31st with Mike and Bruce at noon? Just
Oh,
FYI.
yeah. Well, I'll have to break, well, for me, it'd only involve me, and I don't need to sit there for the whole, when they're talking about courtroom technology, I don't need to sit there for the whole
Okay.
thing. But
Just thought I'd
I thought of that too, yeah.
add that in case you forgot.
Yeah, well,
Just as a reminder for some of the people that are out there that seem to think they understand what's going on, and it's very apparent that they don't understand, is this whole courthouse renovation is to create a second courtroom facility. And
Yeah, second jury courtroom.
and what would be the purpose of that second jury courtroom?
okay, so, yeah.
In plain English, what would be the purpose of us having a second?
To allow us to deal with the caseload that we have now.
In other words, to
Expedite the
expedite the
process.
process of those that are incarcerated so they could get,
So what it does, Mr. Chairman, is it allows the court system to do all it can to help us manage that jail population. So that means that they're going to be, if an inmate needs to be sentenced sooner, then they can be sentenced sooner and more expeditiously. And if it means an inmate's going to be sentenced to the jail, they can do that more quickly and dispose of the case more quickly. So to help the jail run more smoothly, and when you can move an inmate from unsentenced to sentence, that's good for the process. The other thing is, we have to keep in mind that we're Americans, and our Constitution says justice should be speedy. So anytime we can do that, I mean, it's our responsibility to do that.
In discussion with the judges in this circuit, one of the biggest complaints that they had when we were discussing this project was the fact that it was difficult to get court time because of all the cases in the existing jury courtroom. If there was 2 jury trials that had to be scheduled, they were basically sharing one calendar trying to get into the courtroom. So this will expedite that process, which is a good thing.
frustrating
Yeah.
part that I see is that, we have a couple of rather lengthy trials coming up down the pike here, and they may schedule 10 days of court time, and then all of a sudden they schedule and settle out of court, the day before they go to court. Well, that courtroom still just has to sit empty for that period of time because it was scheduled, and that's frustrating.
It's frustrating to see, but that still allows the process to move.
Yes.
Because it forces, by being able to schedule a courtroom, you force all the parties to prepare for that. And it might end up being a settlement, without a jury trial, or it might just end up being a bench trial. But either way, you've got the process going, and you can't do that if you don't have the space to schedule.
In reality, we're going from 1 to 2, we're doubling the size or the capability of moving cases through.
On a jury case, correct.
right,
We'll have 3 courtrooms. We'll have
Right.
2 jury capable and 1 non.
Now, we know that probably isn't, if you sit down and look at the numbers, that's not true. It's just like adding another machine to an assembly line. You think that it should double it, but it doesn't. It may increase it 80, 90%, but it will never,
It'll
not-
definitely increase the
Definitely
process.
increase it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, appreciate that. Is there anything else, old business? How about new business? Any new business?
Some old business.
Okay.
I talked to you a month or so ago about some new financial interest statements that each board member needs to file.
Yep.
Had confirmation from the Secretary of State's office that the statement of financial interest, you are to list any source of funds of your own or any family member which contributes more than 10% or more than $2,000 to your family's income. This includes your spouse and your minor children living at home. So I will be handing these forms out to you because we did have some questions on those in the last couple of weeks, and I receive verification from the Secretary of State on what exactly needs to be listed. So it's you or any member of your family living at home, if they have any income that contributes more than 10% or more than $2,000 annually to your family income. It does need to be, all you need to is list the family number, where the funds are coming from, if it's their employer, and relationship to funds, which would be employee, or if you own a business, you would
They're
have
getting
to
pretty
list that.
nosy, aren't they?
I believe the legislature brought this new form.
It's good part of
Transparency,
part of the IMB.
correct. And basically what it is for, if the county does a lot of business with a company, they want to know if you have an interest in that company.
You bet, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it
And
is limited to county commissioners.
Mine is good. The one that I filled out will be fine.
Probably, yeah.
In other words, we have been singled out.
Well, you and legislators and, other
Political figures.
Yeah.
elected officials other than the sheriff.
But that's
the
all right.
auditor, the register of deeds.
Well, we have the-
They're not concerned about,
Yeah, but
Well, I
otherwise
suppose-
we're going to work contracts and things
Right,
like that.
and it's more about
we're
that.
not approving contracts. So, okay,
All right.
I will have those forms for you after the meeting.
And that being said, then, is there a new business? Any new business? I think some of the stuff that you shared is new business with us, Lee, but that's fine.
Just a note to plan ahead that January 30th is the fifth Tuesday in the month, and per previous policy adopted, you will not meet that day. So I'll be sending some emails out to the department heads to plan their agenda items accordingly.
All right.
Mr. Chair, as far as new business, Commissioner Hanton and I are continuing to meet with, I think this would be under new business, maybe not, continuing to work on the county burial stuff. We are planning on meeting with the funeral directors and also the welfare director here in the near future to continue our ongoing discussions with that process, trying to streamline that and make it a little easier for us.
Okay, anything else? Anything
I
else?
guess picking up on the meeting we had with the Stepping Up initiative, now we transformed it, I guess, into the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group. So with the charter that we approved about a month ago, I ended up as the chairman, and Sarah Peterson ended up as the
He
secretary.
gave a heck of a campaign speech, people.
Yeah,
I tell you what.
But we probably need to formalize that to a point, if you guys are okay, or another commissioner can do it too, appoint me as the commissioner serving on that committee, and then okay that one of the person from the welfare office, so Sarah Peterson, is the secretary on that one. So
Could we list that as part
can
of
put that
the
on.
duties of commissioners and
it should probably be in the liaison assignments. We should probably put that in
indicate
there.
that Lee is a liaison to that
Well, we
group?
could amend. I'll work on some kind of motion for next
Then you
week.
would
Okay,
need
yep.
to add all the
Yeah.
other ones as well. I mean, then you'd
To
have
which
CJAC
committee?
on there. I mean, then you'd have all of that.
CC Jack, it's built into you can, but that's built into the charter where we appoint them. We didn't really, I don't know if I
What is
thought
the
of it.
appropriate name, did you say, Lee? That's,
So chairman of the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group.
what's the abbreviation for that? You must know what it is.
Bajigwig.
Send me an email and we'll work on it.
So now that's actually taken the place of Stepping Up. Stepping Up, and that is the same.
It just formalizes
one and the
Stepping
same.
Up.
All right, just,
Same
yeah,
thing.
send me an
You're
email.
ready,
Stepping
you'll
Up
get-
is the
You're going to get a
initiative.
pie chart.
The national initiative, so.
And now this is your charter.
All right, thank you, Lee. And we do appreciate you taking the lead in that.
It's really Sarah's initiative.
That group, you and Sarah. Appreciate that very much.
And then one other thing, this is kind of open new business, but there's a JDAI meeting at noon today, and we're in the process of getting the signatures.
JDI, what does that stand for the press?
Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. So that one, you recall, there was an MOU that we did for that one, getting a bunch of signatures.
Is that in here? JDA,
JDAI, is it where?
Here.
in this building?
No.
In this
No, it's going to
office?
be, that particular meeting's going to be at the school.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, so that's
okay.
at noon today. So at the same time as the planning and zoning meeting, so I'll
I will be
the
there.
JDAI meeting. And The city council has it on their agenda tonight to authorize the mayor to sign that MOU, by the way. So that's what's going on.
Okay, anything for the open?
Like Lee mentioned, there is a planning and zoning at 12:30, so if you get done, you can scoot over there
That's today?
today.
Yep. Planning and zoning at 12:30 at the Extension Center. Anything else for the open? Seeing none, is there anyone requesting an executive session at this time? I did not get any requests.